welcome to Ask When everyone. Today I'm honored and privileged to have a friend of mine who we haven't met in person yet because COVID ended up getting us all nuts. But we're planning on meeting in person one of these days, and I plan to give her a big giant hug. Yes, I said hug. And um, this is Elikqitie, and she's been a guest before on Ask When, and she has now written a book because she's completely gluten free, does a podcast called Travel Gluten Free, which I've had the honor and privilege of being on. And then I just want her to take it away and explain her story and explain why she wrote the book. And please, 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 after you go listen to this episode, please subscribe to her podcast, Travel Gluten Free Number One. And then please go look up book on Amazon, Travel Gluten Free, because we're trying to move the needle on that. So I'm gonna let Elikqitie take it away and take it away.
Awesome. Well, Wayne, I wanted to say thank you so much for having me on your podcast again. I'm super excited to be here, and it is an honor and privilege for me to be on your podcast as a fellow female podcaster. We're both very passionate about being creative and putting out awesome content, and so I really appreciate that in you as well. So yeah, I'll give you the really short backstory. Basically, 5 years ago, I found out I could not eat gluten, and so it ended up making me really, really sick. And I had all these symptoms, but I was a full-time middle school teacher, so I thought it was just stress because that's a very stressful job. And I thought that's why I was having all these digestive issues. Comes to find out it was gluten. Stopped eating gluten, but I was traveling a lot, and I really found out very quickly how hard it is to avoid gluten when you're traveling. Like, it's hard enough at home, like I had to figure out what I could and couldn't eat in my pantry and put things in there I could eat. But then it's even harder when you're on vacation because you're out on vacation, you're traveling around, and if you're celiac, so there's different kinds of being gluten free. So some people just do it because they feel like it makes them feel better. Some people do it because they have a gluten intolerance, which means when they eat it, it makes them feel a little bit sick or like digestive problems. And then there's people with gluten allergy, which means like a bee sting or like being allergic to peanut butter, they're allergic to gluten. There's also a wheat allergy, which is different than a gluten allergy. And then there's people like me who have celiac disease. And what celiac disease is an autoimmune disease. And it basically means like when you eat gluten, your body attacks itself. And so with celiac disease, every time if I were to eat gluten, which I don't on purpose, I did accidentally get gluten at restaurants every once in a while. But anytime I get gluten in my system, my body attacks my small intestinal tract. And my dad actually passed away from the disease you get if you have celiac disease and you don't lead a gluten-free diet, which is called adenocarcinoma. And basically what happens with that is your body keeps attacking your small intestine to the point where all of your little villi, which are the little finger-like projections in your small intestine that absorb nutrients, all die off. So he lost a lot of weight. He couldn't keep things down. It was really sad. He basically starved to death for 3 years that he had the adenocarcinoma. So it is not one of the ways you want to go for sure. I tell people that, like, if you have celiac disease, I've seen what happens when people don't stick to their diet. But also my dad did not know he was celiac because nobody diagnosed back in the 80s and 90s. So if he had known, he would have stuck to the diet and probably would be here today. But I've seen what happens firsthand, and I did not want that to happen to other people. And I encountered people that were like, oh, I cheat every once in a while and I have celiac disease. I'm like, no, you can't cheat at all with celiac disease. Like, that's not an option. It's not like you don't have enough lactase and you drink milk. It's completely different. Like, even if you don't notice it, your body is still attacking itself. And that's just a really bad thing to do because every time you do it, it takes weeks to months to completely heal. So if you do it every week and you cheat, you're consistently just hurting your body. And that's going to lead to really bad health repercussions down the line eventually because it's going to catch up with you. And so I love to travel. I know no one likes to be sick when they travel. If you have celiac disease and you get gluten in your system, you could be out from 3 days to 10 days, which has the real big potential of wiping out your whole vacation. No one ever said I want to be sick on vacation. It's like the last place you want to be sick, because if you do have to be sick, you want to be at least in your own bed. And anyway, I found out how hard it was to travel having celiac disease. And when I looked around, I saw like blog posts and stuff that were maybe like 50 restaurants in Chicago that are gluten free, or like 50 restaurants in Philadelphia that are gluten free. But nobody told you how to do it. Like, how do I find these restaurants? Or like, how do I take a plane ride and be successfully gluten free and not get sick? And so that's what I decided to do. I made the how to guide. So no matter where you go in the world, you can apply um, any of my things in my guide to wherever you go. And it's not a complete guarantee, because there's always people who, and as we know, when there's people involved, there's always a mess up factor. But it gives you a much better chance of traveling safely without being sick if you are gluten free, if you use all of the tips in my guide. So I cover cruising, road tripping, camping, flying, gluten free friendly cities, how to find a restaurant. I've got like 3 chapters on that. What to do if you get gluten. I talk about supplements you can take, like that I take when I get gluten. And it's not like and I tell this to people all the time. I'm like, don't purposely get gluten and take these supplements, but because these really just help diminish the symptoms. They don't diminish the damage that's done to your system. So it just helps you recover faster, which is better, because at least you don't have to stay sick as long. But I put all that in my guide because I've been finding people that like love to travel and they're gluten free because they either have Hashimoto's or another autoimmune disease like lupus or celiac disease where they can't eat gluten, but they didn't know what to do. So I found one lady who didn't travel in 3 years because she didn't know what to do because she had celiac disease. And I'm like, no, this should not prevent you from traveling. There's always a workaround. There's always a solution. And so that's what I put in my guide. I put a lot of solutions in there. So even if you're not traveling right now, even if you're just getting takeout or going to restaurants, there's a lot of great information in my guide that you can use just for takeout and going to restaurants if you're not traveling right now.
So now I have a question for you. And what is your favorite gluten-free city that you have researched or actually been to?
Okay, actually been to Victoria, Canada, hands down.
Victoria, Canada?
Yes.
Why?
Oh, okay. Because I will tell you. So Ellen Baines, who I had on one of my previous episodes, she started the gluten-free movement in Victoria. And now there are a whole bunch of restaurants that have dedicated gluten-free fryers. And if you don't know what a dedicated gluten-free fryer is, that is a fryer they don't fry any gluten in. Because since I'm celiac, I cannot eat a fryer. I cannot eat anything that's been in a fryer that's had gluten in it. So I have to eat, if I eat something that's fried, it has to be in a fryer that has never had gluten in it, because that makes me the worst sick.
Yeah.
But so I ate like fried fish and chips, fried onion rings. I had ice cream that was safe, that was dipped, because the ice cream place we went to, they had a separate dipping station in the back that was gluten-free. I mean, they had like everything. I ate so much food there that I normally don't get to eat. I think I gained like 5 or 6 pounds by the end of the week.
Victoria, Canada. Jeez.
French fries, like you name it. Like I had it all. And I literally ate fried food every night, which I normally don't do. And so my body was like, what are you doing? Like, where's all this fried food coming from?
Yeah. Where's all this fried food coming from?
Exactly.
And what is your favorite book?
Oh, my favorite book. Does it have to be gluten-free, or can it be any book?
It can be any book.
Oh, okay. So my favorite book I have recently read, and this is going to sound really, really funny, but it is called, hold on one second. I have it right here because oh my gosh, I cannot find it. Okay, I'm gonna defer to my second favorite book. So since I'm a writer, my favorite book, this is so nerdy, is the Oxford American Writers Thesaurus.
No, it's not nerdy. No, it's not nerdy.
It's totally nerdy, but I'm owning it.
No, Elikqitie, it's not nerdy at all. And yes, Elikqitie is a freelance writer, you guys. So no, Oxford American Dictionary, us writers, we get along with that book tremendously. But you're the first writer, and I've had a lot of authors on my podcast and a lot of solo entrepreneurs on my podcast. You're the first writer that said the Oxford American Dictionary is your favorite book. And we'll leave it at that, you guys, because we can go on about fighting. And what is your morning routine?
So my morning routine generally, if I get enough sleep, because one of the side effects of celiac disease is not sleeping through the night. But if I get enough sleep or I can rally myself, I get up in the morning, go in the bathroom, take my like morning supplements, brush my teeth, throw on my workout outfit, put on my app. I have an app I called Active that I work out with since I used it before COVID, but now I exclusively use it because I don't go to the gym just because of the risk, which can't wait to get back to my gym. Anyway, I get up in the morning, I put on my Active. I have a workout schedule that I have on there for every day. I do my workout, I eat my smoothie. And then generally after that, depending on what I'm doing for the rest of the day, most of the time I'm not leaving my house. But if I am leaving my house, I'll grab a shower, I'll get dressed, and then I'll come up to my office upstairs, and then I'll work on whatever writing projects I have that day. Usually if it's Wednesdays, it's social media, all my social media clients. If it's Mondays or Tuesdays, it's usually website content clients. And then Thursdays are my networking days. So Thursday mornings I wake up and instead of working out every Thursday, I do my Business Elevated BNI networking first thing in the morning. And so Thursdays are my big networking days. And then Fridays are my days I usually work on my creative podcast stuff and things like that and some other client work.
Yes. Yes. Well, Elikqitie was so wonderful with me. I Elikqitie was actually in the room when we when we when I first put my house on the market, and Elikqitie had to put up with that. Long story, I'll tell you guys in another episode what's going on with that. And so, yeah, things are moving along with that. Let's just put it that way. And I'll give you guys another episode on that completely. But a Elikqitie, if your BFF had to write a book about you, what would the title be?
It would probably be something like Elikqitie, podcaster, writer, and the first person on the dance floor or something. Because I'm usually the first person to do something. Like if we're in a big crowd and like I feel like I need to cheer, I'll be like the first person to cheer, and everybody around me will be like, "No, wait, don't be the." I'm like, "No, I'm going to be the first person." It would probably be more titled like the first person to do something. That would be me.
I would, and I keep teasing my fan base about this, I'll be the first person with suitcases behind me. Thank you very much. Go get a coronavirus vaccine. With suit, I'll have my carry on. I'll have my suitcase behind me, and then I'll go to the doctors and then head to the airport because I, as you know this, and everyone else knows this on the planet, I am so itching to get out of here. It's not even funny. And so, Elikqitie, where can the people find you, and where can people get a hold of you? And of course, where can people buy the book on Amazon?
Okay, so the easiest place to find my book is if you go to my website, travelglutenfreepodcast.com, and then all you have to do is click on the book tab, and it'll have information about my book. And if you click on the book picture or click on buy now, it'll take you right to the Amazon link. And then most places you can find me at the handle Travel Gluten Free Podcast. And the easiest way to find me is just to go on Google and then search up the hashtag travel GF me. And so it's TRAVEL GFME. So if you look for that hashtag, it is on all my social media. You will see me on all 8 platforms and all the stuff that I'm doing out there. But definitely pick up the guide. It's a great gift for anyone, even if you're not traveling, for anyone that's gluten-free, because it tells you how to find restaurants. And That's one of the biggest things when you're celiac, is just finding restaurants and knowing how to get safe takeout, especially in COVID.
I might have to pick it up myself or have you send it to me because, as you guys know, I'm on a quest of getting diagnosed with asthma. And yeah, I might have to figure out how to switch my diet a little bit just because of asthma.
Yeah, for sure. Gluten is like, a lot of times with different things, gluten might not be the primary thing that's making you sick, but like, especially with a lot of autoimmune related diseases, it really inflames the autoimmune disease. So a lot of people with autoimmune just get off of gluten because it just makes them a lot healthier, keeps their inflammation down. And keeping your inflammation down is key to feeling good.
Yes. Oh, yes. I gave up sugar. I'm about to give up dairy. I am about to give up dairy, and I am about to be a totally new woman. And yeah, so you guys get to follow along, and I know Elikqitie listens, so she gets to follow along with this journey with me, and so I appreciate you guys supporting us. When and you guys can find me all over social media. I'm hanging out all over social media, and you guys can just go to Amazon and pick up Travel Gluten Free, the book, and then go listen to Travel Gluten Free on any major podcast player. And thanks you guys for your support. Bye, you guys.